how can we watch Caitlyn? Can we come to the event? Can you live stream it? All of these things. And it ended up being put on television.
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. What we're about to dive into is not just a simple sports story. It's a seismic shift in the world of athletics. Caitlyn Clark, the basketball phenom who's taken the college scene by storm, has made waves in an entirely new sport.
What we saw from Caitlyn Clark playing golf was the LPGA being really happy about it.
But guess what? The way the world of sports has responded to her meteoric rise is nothing short of jaw-dropping, mostly for all the wrong reasons. Now, you might be asking, how could something so monumental slip through the cracks? How could an athlete like Caitlyn Clark, who's changing the way we think about sports, especially women's sports, be treated with such indifference? Caitlyn Clark, after dominating the basketball world, just signed a contract with the LPGA. Yes, you heard that right. The golf world and the reactions, they're worth unpacking.
It's gotten to a stage now where it seems like they're just trolling the WNBA. Like, at this stage, I think they're just trolling the WNBA.
In a world where headlines scream about the next big thing, ESPN somehow managed to drop the ball. They covered Caitlyn Clark's LPGA debut like it was the least exciting thing on the planet. Not even a faint ripple of excitement from the sports giant. Imagine this. Caitlyn Clark steps into the golf scene, and ESPN's response is so lackluster.
You see here, this is days later. Nothing but love for Caitlyn Clark over here. Constantly saying, like, it's always, everything is like, who doesn't love Caitlyn Clark? Like,
it's almost as if she was announcing her retirement to start knitting. How does this happen? How can you not get excited about an athlete that is changing the game, both in basketball and now in golf? This was supposed to be a moment of celebration, a shining example of how far female athletes have come. But instead, we were given a dull, lifeless report. ESPN missed an opportunity to elevate Caitlyn Clark and, in the process, showcase their true colors.
But the WNBA posted nothing. Zero. Posted zero about Caitlyn Clark golfing in this Pro-Am event.
Lackluster, indifferent, and ultimately behind the times. The excitement surrounding her debut in golf was palpable. Fans were everywhere. Social media exploded with love and anticipation. But ESPN, they acted as if they were allergic to enthusiasm. The LPGA, on the other hand, seized the moment with absolute precision. They didn't just bring Caitlyn Clark into a random event. No. They invited her to a Pro-Am that wasn't even supposed to be televised. But once the fans caught wind, they flooded social media, clamoring for more. The LPGA heard the call and, like a master of the game, capitalized on the moment. The event was televised.
LPGA did literally everything correct. They capitalized on the moment. They found a way to put it on television. They allowed people to be there. Caitlyn was signing,
turning what could have been a casual affair into a cultural milestone. Fans tuned in from all over the world. And the results? A staggering 34 million social media impressions. Think about that number for a second, 34 million. That's not just a win for golf. It's a victory for the future of women's sports. And yet, in stark contrast, the WNBA, where Caitlyn Clark's basketball brilliance should be honored, did nothing. It's almost laughable.
LPGA was promoting the crap out of this event. And they also did something really smart by...
How does a league like the WNBA, with stars like Caitlyn Clark at their fingertips, let such a moment pass without a single shout-out? The silence was deafening. Fans were begging for any acknowledgement of Clark's groundbreaking shift from basketball to golf. But the WNBA, cricket zero posts, no tweets, no Instagram stories. It's as if the WNBA deliberately chose to ignore the one athlete who could have propelled their league into the spotlight. A generational talent who's not just changing basketball, but now making waves in an entirely different sport.
Pairing her up with their currently #1 golfer in the world. And her name is Nelly Korda.
They paired Caitlyn Clark with Nelly Korda, the world's top-ranked female golfer. It wasn't just smart marketing, it was genius. The combination of Clark's crossover appeal and Korda's world-class skill turned the event into a spectacle. Even people who could barely tell the difference between a golf club and a baseball bat tuned in. The LPGA got it right.
#1 golfer, this is the perfect marketing opportunity.
They put Clark in the spotlight, treated her like royalty, and watched as the spotlight burned brighter for everyone involved. But back to the WNBA. Where's the love? Where's the recognition? Caitlyn Clark isn't just a basketball player. She's a cross-sport phenomenon, a household name, a marketing goldmine. Her social media following is massive, her appeal endless. She is exactly the type of player the WNBA needs to make an impact.
It for people like me who never wanted to play professional basketball because I didn't see a future in it. Now, girls can see a future.
Yet, they ignore her. They fail to harness the power of her star. What does this tell the young athletes like Paige Bueckers and Juju Watkins, who are poised to enter the WNBA soon? If I were them, I'd be wondering whether the WNBA could ever figure out how to support their stars. They risk losing out on these players if they don't start treating the marketing of their athletes with the respect they deserve. Look
at the LPGA Twitter account. It is filled with Caitlyn Clark things. Photos of her, a whole video of the
The sad reality is, Caitlyn Clark is the future. She's the athlete who could revitalize women's basketball, draw in fans, and bring in the viewership the WNBA desperately needs. Yet the league and ESPN have ignored her greatness at every turn.
And cheering, her signing things, taking photos, their players hanging out with Caitlyn, and obviously they're showing their golfers as...
It's a disservice to the entire league, and more importantly, to the fans who've been crying out for a new era of women's sports, one where athletes like Caitlyn Clark can thrive. We're not just talking about one game or one event. We're talking about a seismic shift in how women's sports are covered.
Clark's golf debut just made me so upset with the WNBA.
Caitlyn Clark's golf debut wasn't just about her playing a different sport. It was about showing the world that women can do anything, break barriers, and succeed on every stage. The WNBA could have been at the forefront of this revolution. They chose to stay silent, and ESPN, well, they provided coverage so dull, you'd be forgiven for thinking they were reporting on the weather instead of a groundbreaking athlete making history. And let's not forget the endorsements. The real game changer came when Serena Williams, one of the most recognized athletes in the world, praised Caitlyn Clark for her resilience and the way she handles the immense pressure of being in the spotlight.
Have great players in this league. You have Paige coming in. You have Juju. Do not fumble it with those girls either. Stop fumbling the moment.
When Serena Williams, yes, Serena Williams, gives you a shout out, you capitalize on it, but the WNBA, they didn't even blink. They didn't recognize the opportunity. They didn't harness the power of that endorsement. What does this tell us about the future of the WNBA? How many more stars like Caitlyn Clark, Paige Bueckers, and Juju Watkins will rise up, only to be ignored and mishandled by the very league they hope to play for? If the WNBA continues to ignore the players that could make them relevant, they risk alienating the next generation of athletes.
Because you're not only fumbling it for the current players in the league, you are fumbling it for every girl who wants to play professional basketball.
At the end of the day, Caitlyn Clark's debut in the LPGA should have been a moment of reckoning, not just for the athletes in women's sports, but for everyone involved in the business of marketing and promoting talent. It should have served as a wake-up call for leagues and media companies alike, a reminder of how to properly showcase and elevate athletes who break boundaries. Instead, we watched as the WNBA and ESPN, the two organizations with the most influence over women's sports coverage.
The perfect opportunity for the WNBA to do, have you seen it when an NBA player or a football player goes to an NBA game or goes to wherever and they'll be in the comments or they'll just say something something cute? This was the perfect time for the WNBA to also be posting about this. And they said,
failed to seize this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. They missed the boat, time and time again, leaving the LPGA to race ahead with the kind of success and visibility the WNBA could only dream of. Caitlyn Clark is not just any athlete. She's a trailblazer in every sense of the word. From her standout performances on the basketball court to her crossover appeal in the sports world, Clark is a symbol of what's possible when athletes aren't confined by their expected roles.
It goes to show that all of us who have been speaking out about this and saying, it doesn't seem like you guys are giving Caitlyn...
She doesn't just play basketball. She redefines what it means to be an athlete. She challenges norms, breaks records, and attracts fans from a wide range of sports. When Clark signed with the LPGA, it wasn't just about her making a transition to another sport. It was a statement. It was a demonstration of the new era of women's sports, where the boundaries are no longer fixed, where an athlete can conquer one sport and then step into another with the same level of excellence.
The kind of props that she deserves for bringing all these eyeballs and, the Caitlyn Clark effect that we talk about, viewership, money, all of those.
However, Instead of being celebrated as a monumental achievement in both the worlds of women's basketball and women's golf, the WNBA and ESPN acted as though Caitlyn Clark's LPGA debut was a minor, forgettable event. ESPN, in particular, dropped the ball here.
People who were shouting this for the entire WNBA season, this is an instance where we are...
They had a chance to push the story to the forefront, to make it a global talking point, to shine the spotlight on an athlete who could be the face of not one, but two major sports. Yet, they managed to cover the story with all the excitement of a mid-afternoon nap. Their coverage was lacking in enthusiasm and didn't reflect the significance of Clark's achievement. If ESPN, with its massive platform, couldn't capture the magnitude of the moment, what hope does any emerging talent have of receiving the coverage they deserve? Let's talk about what the LPGA did right. When Caitlyn Clark, a player known for her larger-than-life persona and viral social media presence, entered the world of golf, they understood the assignment. The LPGA didn't just invite her to a run-of-the-mill event. They brought her into a pro-am that wasn't even supposed to be televised. But the LPGA recognized the opportunity before them and pivoted with precision. The fans demanded coverage, and the LPGA responded, transforming what could have been a minor event into an unforgettable spectacle. They didn't just put Clark in front of the cameras, they made her the centerpiece of the event, pairing her with Nelly Korda, the world's top-ranked female golfer. This wasn't just a marketing move, it was a brilliant combination of star power. It drew fans who might not otherwise have paid attention to golf. The LPGA capitalized on Caitlyn Clark's star power in a way the WNBA and ESPN failed to do. The result, a stunning 34 million social media impressions. That's not just good marketing, that's history in the making. So why did the WNBA fail to recognize the significance of Caitlyn Clark's dual sport debut? The answer lies in a deeper issue of how the league markets its stars. The WNBA has struggled for years to showcase its players in a way that resonates with a broader audience. While the NBA has done an excellent job of marketing its athletes, creating household names with massive endorsement deals and global recognition, the WNBA has lagged behind. Even when players like Clark emerge, offering the potential to revitalize the league and attract a whole new demographic, the WNBA seems to overlook them. Caitlyn Clark could have been the face of the WNBA for a new generation, an athlete who appeals to both basketball fans and people who may have never thought twice about women's basketball. But the WNBA's failure to promote her has cost them dearly. This is a moment that future stars like Paige Buchers, Juju Watkins, and others are watching closely. These young athletes are the future of the league, and they are likely weighing their options carefully. If they see the WNBA consistently failing to recognize its brightest stars, they might start to question whether it's worth committing their careers to a league that can't or won't elevate them. The WNBA has to do more than just showcase its players. It has to put them in the limelight, treating them like the game changers they are. The future of women's sports is bright, but it's only bright for those who recognize and support the talent before them. If the WNBA doesn't step up, it risks losing out on these incredible athletes before they even have the chance to leave their mark.